Hello and welcome to the Crystal Lightworkers podcast to aid spirituality and well-being using crystals. I'm Jackie Winters, founder of the British Academy of Crystal Healing, and today I would like to speak with you about how to use crystals to access ancient wisdom and discuss the Akashic records with you. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day and thank you for joining me again to listen to this podcast. So, what are the Akashic records? My interpretation of the Akashic records is that they are an energetic record that is within the atmosphere. It permeates within and surrounds the earth and is a record of every thought, word and deed that ever was experienced, the vibration of which can be accessed through crystals and crystal skulls. Now, many anthropologists speak of a time when the earth will reveal her secrets, that the ancient ones stored hidden wisdom to be revealed when the time is right, and only to those who are heart-based. So they stored the knowledge into crystals and skulls. They believed that people who could access the wisdom from the crystals would have to be heart sensitive and recognize the vibration through the wisdom of the heart resonance instead of through the diseased mind. It's quite a thought, isn't it? That every thought, word or deed that ever was spoken, acted upon, or considered should be recorded in an energetic vibration. But when you consider that we are all just energy, it's not so difficult to digest. As we have evolved as a species, we have changed the way we think by the way we have been programmed. Humanity has, in my opinion, gone further away from nature than ever, and that many of us are now seeking our way back to a natural way of being. Living in stress has caused many of us to question whether this is the best experience life has to offer us. So the spiral of evolution is now taking some of us back to revisit the natural ways of the shamans and the wise ones. Our ancestors that walked the earth before us had got a very different view of the world than we do today. And isn't it a good job that they knew how to program crystals? The seers of that time saw that in the future there would be a need for the wisdom of the shamans. They were better able to connect to the quantum field of no time and see that we here in what is known as their future would be struggling in these years. So to ensure that the wisdom did not fall into the wrong hands, they programmed crystals and crystal skulls, knowing that the only ones that would be able to access this information would be heart-based people, helping return harmony to those who listen and to the earth herself. So when the anthropologists say that there will come a time when the earth will reveal her secrets and there will be chosen ones to impart the wisdom, this, I believe, is the time that we are in now. If you are not familiar with the quantum field, I may offer a podcast on that subject alone, as it's quite mind-bending. I remember a teacher once saying that if you think you have understood the quantum physics, then you haven't really understood it at all, because it can never be understood. And I now know what she meant, because as we evolve, words start to become less important and experience starts to take precedence and take us into a new dimension of reality. That I have an experience with crystals that surpasses words, and the experience is all that is needed to take me to a deep knowing that helps me connect and feel connected to all that there is. So how can you access the Akashic records with crystals? The crystal I use to access the Akashic record is a library crystal, which is identified on an unpolished quartz. Only quartz have the markings on. It is really important that you just work with quartz. And the markings look like a sort of barcode. You know, when you buy a product from a supermarket, sometimes they have a lot of lines on them, which is a barcode to be read by a machine. Well, it's exactly the same with the crystals. actually look like barcodes that are all down the side of the crystal. I'm actually holding one now, and one of the messages that I received from the crystals years ago was that in the future, children will read through their fingers. They will run their fingers across the crystal, and the vibration will transmit straight to their heart from their fingers and then to the brain. So the heart will be the filter of truth by resonance. Did you know that there are millions of receptors in the fingertips? And the more adept you become with working with crystals, the more you will sense and feel through your fingers. The vibration travels up through your arm and enters straight into the heart. So, place all of your fingers on the bar coding on the side of the crystal and set your intention. If ever you decide to do the diploma with me, you will hear me speak often about intention and attention. Intention fires the desire, and attention is magnetized to the answer. Well, there's a lot more to it than that, but you get the idea of what I'm speaking about, I'm sure. So, when you have set your intention of why you want to visit the Akashic records, then you can begin stroking the crystal with your fingers, working from the base of the crystal to the tip, sort of like encouraging the energy of the crystal to flow through the body of the crystal to the tip. And then when you feel you've moved the energy to the tip, you place the crystal on your heart and sit in the silence. Just wait and see where your attention is taken. What do you feel? What resonance is growing within you? And where is your mind? When you over-try, you will get nothing. I can remember sitting with a crystal for 45 minutes, waiting, anticipating and expecting to speak with me. Nothing. I got absolutely nothing, and so decided to give up. And that is when I started to receive the information at a very deep, subtle level within me. So bear this in mind. When you begin working with crystals, they like you to be open-minded, open-hearted, and certainly to have no expectation. As when you have expectation, it closes down the experience. In other words, it limits what you can get because you have an expectation. And when you release the expectation, then you're open to the new. And the crystal can then unearth within you whatever is needed to come to the surface. Crystal skulls can be used in a similar way to the crystal points. The skull represents the head. And the head, the ancient ones believed, was the seat of all wisdom. So they channeled much knowledge into the crystal skulls, and they were left buried until the timing was right. Some say that the ancient ones shifted their vibration to interact within this time space through the quantum field. The quantum field where there is no time or space, but the ancient ones knew how to move their awareness through time and space to be able to reach this vibration and this time space that we are in at the moment. And when they did this, they then unearthed the crystal skulls to the people, or to attract the correct people. Now, I can't say whether this is true or not, but it certainly is not out of the realms of possibility. There are apparently 7 crystal skulls around the world, and I have been privileged to meet one of them, under exceptionally strange circumstances, I might add, in Glastonbury. The lady who was the caretaker of the skull was travelling the world, taking the skull with her to introduce to certain people as she met along the way, and the crystal would guide her. She was travelling with this skull, and she believed it was only to be revealed to certain people. So when I learned of this skull, I wanted to hold it and see what it had to offer. The caretaker made me wait patiently until everyone else had left the venue where we were, and then brought the skull in. She said she had to be protective of its energy, as the vibration was very precious. At that time, I'm not going to lie, my mind was playing, okay, what's going on here? Is this real? And I now realize that trust and personal experience of truth is important. We shouldn't just blindly believe what others tell us to be true. Anyway, I was allowed to hold the skull, and I did make my own opinion, and to be fair, it didn't disappoint me. The vibration was incredible, I could feel all this light entering into my body through my hands. I felt as though I was in touch with the Christ himself. Now, I don't know why or how I would actually know what it would be like to get in touch with such a pure soul, but that is definitely what came to mind when I held the skull. That the skull was on a mission, and it was projecting light and wisdom out to those who had the ability to hear their heart. And I found the whole experience to be mystical, unexplainable, and really, really beautiful. If you ever get the chance to connect with a genuine crystal skull, please don't hesitate, because the energy vibration was really, really incredible. I'm not sure, but I don't know what it would be like to experience the Christ energy, but that's what came to me when I was holding it. It felt like what I would surmise the Christ energy would feel like, just pure, beautiful, wonderful, untainted love is probably how I should really be explaining it. So what are the benefits of accessing the Akashic records, and how can they help you? The Akashic records can offer you advice, wisdom, clarity, direction, understanding, love, support, change in perception and guidance. You can ask anything you want to. You can be connected to anyone or anything that has ever incarnated. You can gain insight into the bigger picture on any level at all. The Akashic records are sort of like the World Wide Web, but with more accessible information. So when you meditate, where depending on what your intention is, and there is not an intention that hasn't previously been asked or said, because whatever you're putting out there, somebody else may have already done the same, and so therefore whatever question you are asking will always have an answer, and to sit in the quiet, in the silence, and wait for it to unfold within you is the way to move forward. One of the other questions that I often get asked about the Akashic records and the ancient wisdom is there a limit to the knowledge we can access whilst here on earth? I personally feel that words limit our accessibility to knowledge. I feel there is great knowledge to be had beyond words. A friend of mine once told me that words were introduced to limit us and put a spell on mankind, and that is why the word spelling is used to write letters and form words, that without the words we would be so much more than we are now. Now, for some of us, this may be difficult to get your head around and understand how we can be more than words, because words define our reality. They define who we are. And that's okay. But maybe in the future, you too may understand what I know to be true. So when I was speaking to the light beings in one of my other podcasts, I mentioned to you that a light being said we don't use words to define things. So you call a tree, and that's it. Whereas we look at the form, we don't give it a name, but we know it's part of the ecosystem, and we know it has a job to do, and we know that it is servicing the planet and is part of all existence. So we see it for its purpose rather than just giving it a word for tree. So our perception of it isn't in words, we just acknowledge its purpose. So getting beyond the words and acknowledging the purpose of things, we start to see the bigger picture. And if this is something you're struggling to get your head around, don't worry about it. As we let go of words, we let go of fear, because fear is man-made. We become more at peace with ourselves and live more harmoniously in the world of experience and creativity. I hope this has helped you, because sometimes it can be a bit baffling when I say things like we can live in a world beyond words. And the world beyond words is this purpose of all beings and how we interact with each other. So maybe you can start using crystals to access the Akashic records. And if ever you want to share your experience with me, I would absolutely love to sense and feel the vibration behind your words, to go below the words into the vibration with you and become the true manifester of your own life when you do this. So use your Akashic records, have a go with your crystals and see how you go. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the information that you unearth within you. Well, thank you for listening today, and take care. Hopefully I may see you on one of our courses. If you enjoy the podcast, please join us. We'd love to see you. You can visit us on www.britishacademyofcrystal healing, or you can visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and we'd absolutely love to see you. So until we meet, or if we don't meet, I know your energy and you know mine, and we're all in this energetic soup together. So travel safely. Blessings to all of you.